Noon, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hope you all well. Hope everybody had a nice week. I apologize for canceling the last couple sessions. My schedule is changing a bit, and it just wasn't possible at the last minute to be able to connect. So I apologize for any inconvenience that caused. And I'm thinking, just heads up for next Sunday, possibly switching to 7 a.m. I'm not sure yet. I'll know better this week, and I'll announce it on Saturday if we do change. So also, on Wednesday, I'm going to do my best to make it to mention a little bit about different natural environments, such as mountains, beach, desert, high desert, forests, different ways where we can be in nature and the effect that they can have on us. I think now we're at a point that I can discuss it, and I don't want to delay it any further since people are going on vacations. It'll do a little less good if I finally get around to teaching it in September. So I'm going to try to do it on Wednesday. If you're not able to attend, it'll be up on YouTube, and feel free to listen to it. I'm hoping for Wednesday at 4 p.m. And then it'll be up there for everybody to listen to. So today I wanted to work on the relaxation of the upper body, since we discussed the lower body a little while ago. And I hope everybody's practicing. I spent about 1.5 years intensively working on these techniques and others, and it had a big effect on my prayer and my practice. And so it's something to kind of practice on your own if you wish to have the full benefits. If you want to feel the names of God and the mantra practice deeper, to deepen your understanding of the different ones and the different energies of each one, this is the practice that's really going to help you do so. If you want to take your pranayama practice deeper, well, this is the practice to help with that. So it's really sort of essential, and you get out of it the amount of time that you put into it. And it doesn't need to be long. Like when I teach, I go into great detail. And at the beginning, it certainly might take a little longer to fully relax. But as your body gets used to it, and as you sort of drain away the things that are not meant to be held, it happens much faster. And your body has developed pathways and circuitry and sort of a knowledge inside your body on how to release it. You've opened the conduits. So when you just sit down and you think of the practice, the body will automatically sort of start releasing. And then it just sort of drains away really fast. When we're holding less, we have room for something new. We also increase our sensitivity. I was thinking a little bit when I was driving here. How do I explain greater sensitivity? Maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of Wednesday's talk, but why not? If you compare, well, what's the right word? If you imagine that our ability to sense things and to see things clearly, and our perception and ability to feel energy, our outside world, is like a pool of water or a bowl of water, like an aquarium bowl of water, right? So normally given our sort of lifestyle and how we are in the modern world. Our pool, you can't see at all through it. It's full of sediment and sand and gunk and just full of murkiness. And it's not necessarily all bad things. It's just that there's just so much moving in us, our thoughts, our fears, our past, thinking about the future. It's just always, our mind is just full. Our bodies are full. It's saturated. Yes? So there's no room to feel anything from the outside of this aquarium. The small, an aquarium, it's where you put fish in. Just think of a decent size aquarium, just a rectangle that you would have in a house or a bedroom or something. Right? So just think that's our body and our senses. And so it's just murky. You can't see through it. It's like cloudy, like mud. You shake mud and water, and the water, which used to be clear, is cloudy. When we do this practice, engage with the stillness and learn to relax, the mud in the water stops getting shaken up. It starts to become still. And as it becomes still, it begins to settle. It begins to fall slowly to the bottom of the aquarium. So if you have an aquarium that you stirred with a big spoon and it's all cloudy with the muck of the mud, but you let it be still for 2-3 days, suddenly the water is going to be clear because the dirt is heavy. It's not really meant to be in the water. And so it settles on the bottom. And so what we're learning with these techniques is to calm down, calm our minds, and release the tension, which sort of holds the mud in the water, also releases the thoughts, which shakes up the mud. And we think this is just how we are, because we never knew what it's like to be a clear aquarium. We always knew it with the mud circulating. So we think that's just normal. And we take where we are completely for granted, that we can't really sense a tree or a rock or the grass in a deep way. And we kind of think they're dead. And it's just what it is. And we don't stop to really try to engage with what that is and how it could affect us. And we just go through life with that assumption. And then when we do lie on it, we don't feel as much. And it's because our bodies is full of thoughts and tension and things we're holding. So our body is saturated. So obviously we can't see anything. Our senses are just clouded. So when we do this work, it settles. Yes? Make sure I hear myself. Oh, perfect. So it settles. And then through the clear water, through the perception becoming clearer, our sensitivity to experience something outside the aquarium, we're open to a new world. So by being quiet and allow this work to happen and learning to release the tension, it settles. But we're doing more than that. We're allowing it to release out of our body. So it's almost at the bottom of the aquarium. There's a process, a filter, where the water stays in the aquarium, but the dirt leaves it. So it's not there to be reshaken up, but we are releasing it out. So when we do get shaken up again, and we do get caught up in the world, and we do, just look, this world is intense. Huh? I get caught up. There's less in us to shake. And it's easier to get perspective because we're less murky. And we remember what it was like when we were clearer. So we're able to touch base with that. And then the dirt and everything just settles really fast. And the more we do it, the more it cleanses, the more it releases. And then we are able to engage with different things in our world, and it acts almost like medicine. And that also helps the mud to clear. We're able to feel and see clearly. Greater wisdom. And when we do the mantra work and say the names of God, the vibration of the words, the sacredness, doesn't have all that muck to fight through, all that muck to clear, all that muck that keeps us from feeling it. And we're like, well, I believe HP with what he's saying, or I'm skeptical, I can't quite feel it as much. Well, it really helps if you allow it to settle, because then you're able to feel it. There's room, there's clarity, there's a certain sensitivity that you rediscover in your body, and you're like, whoa, what's this? Oh, there is something to it. And it does also help clear your aquarium. It puts out a vibration and sort of dissolves, it's able to dissolve, and also able to release and push out what's floating in us. And this increases our vibration because all that actually holds us down and keeps us from growing and from expanding. Yes? And when we develop a greater spaciousness, a greater clarity, then we can go into nature and use the natural elements that surround us to further assist us for cleansing, for healing, for releasing, just for relaxation. Suddenly lying in a forest next to a stream is a metaphysical event because you're feeling it in a whole different way than everybody else around you, because you're open and available to all the sounds. There's a greater capacity, ability to experience it. Therefore, the benefit is greater, and you also develop the techniques on how to relax and open to the space. How to quiet your minds so you could really see the water, you really see the trees, and they look completely different. You see things you've never quite seen. You experience them in a different way because you've also learned to relax your mind. So your mind isn't racing and it's not thinking about dinner or maybe the hellish ride through crazy roads to get there. But you're there in the moment because you've learned to relax your thoughts and your mind, and you see them and you're like, wow, this is magical. This is amazing. You hear the ruffle of the trees. You're having a very transcendental moment. And then you realize how amazing the path is. But it takes certain techniques. These are the techniques to be able to develop this. They're pretty easy, aren't they? It's just relax, release, let go. But yet, it's not that easy when you start because it feels so stuck sometimes. And you feel so solid. But then you just keep at it. And let me tell you, when you tell it to go and your body to release, it really can't stay. There is release, whether you feel it or not. And at some point, there's really going to be some movement. And you take it slowly. If heavy thoughts come up, flashbacks from your past, they're traumatic, well, speak to somebody about it. If you start getting really depressed, well, maybe stop for a while. Maybe get some medicine if that's what's occurring. So that necessarily won't occur. But if it does, well, you're processing. You're going through a release. You're letting go of an energy that's dense and unpleasant or whatever it is. And we have modern ways to help address that. And then you overcome it. So the path is also a little challenging. It's not always all roses either. Sadly, there's sometimes an undoing of things. But then sometimes you just have this release of energy and you're like, oh my God, why was that? And you don't even want to know. You're like, I don't want to know. Just thank God. And then you just wonder, that was in my body? And you get like, oh my God, that was in me? Like, how in the world? Yeah, how in the world? And yet you feel so much lighter, but you didn't feel that you were that heavy before. But yet there was that deep release. And you're like, oh my gosh, that tension. And you think about it, and you didn't pick it up for over the last couple of days. You didn't feel tense at all. Then you're like, oh my God, what I feel as not being tense is actually quite tense. I'm just so used to it. I think it's my normal. But look, this is much more relaxed. And you realize you weren't even aware of what you were holding. And then you realize for the next couple of days, the world looks a little different and you kind of like it this way. You feel more relaxed. You're more patient. You're more perceptive. You hear better. You might even make better decisions, or you feel you're smarter. You're able to connect the dots better because this capacity, this clarity. All right, so let's practice a little bit. I started to relax after when I got here, and I said stop to myself because I just want, I kind of teach modeling my process. So you guys can kind of see through my example what's possible. So today, I'm just going to narrate what's going on, what I feel, and you'll see different postures that I feel to take. And they're a little expanded from maybe a little bit or not that much from what you're used to. Because, and this is a more advanced teaching, and not the sense that it's advanced, but in the sense that it takes a lot of practice to kind of be able to do this, and some people not, but you can find relaxation in the movement of energy in any position. You can meditate in any position. You could move your energy really in any position. Yes, if you've done a lot of practice to help the energy move. So the freeway system in your body is clear. So when I do the posture there, which I show you, is really an ideal posture. But sometimes you need to move your hands in a certain place or above your head, and that sort of allows energy to flow in a certain way. So there is a certain investigation you should make. It's not this is the position and you hold it religiously, no pun intended, right? But it's more like it's a good starting posture and it's an ideal posture. But then you might want to have your hand on the dirt, or you might want both arms above your head, like on the ground above your head, right? Not up in the air. I don't think that would work as well, but maybe if that works, then okay. And you realize that that opens a certain movement in certain channels in your body, and you get the relaxation and your release. You might feel to lay out your legs flat, and that helps you have a release. And it can change as you're doing the practice. It's fluid. The point is that you let go, relax, breathe out, just release. Just an open door and invitation for the energy to just walk right on through, to walk right on down into the earth. Don't worry, we're not polluting it. If that's all that happened to this poor planet, it would be in great shape. We do horrendous things to it. It's not us releasing what we're holding. Let me tell you, that's the least of our planet's problems. And actually, we're beings that are grounded in the planet. There's supposed to be this communication with us and with it. We're supposed to take care of it, be stewards of it. At the same time, the planet feeds us, nourishes us, gives us life, plants, shade, water, oxygen. And we're supposed to be able to release and connect in nature, walking on it, lying on it, We build our houses made of wood for the most part. Our furniture is off wood. So we have our nature around us, and it's special, and it heals us because our bones, our calcium, little nutrients, little elements in our body come a lot from the earth and a little bit from the space and meteors, but it's all a product. So when we lie on the earth, in a way, it's familiar to our bodies. And the earth is very receptive. So let's lie down. The legs, I'll work on a little less in depth as I did last 2 Sundays ago, 3 Sundays ago, we worked on the legs. So if you want to have a deeper focus on the legs, I would listen then. And I think it was the last time I taught. So if you want to go back, you could see that. And on a Sunday, I think it's the last time I taught on a Sunday. And then today is just a focus on the upper body, but we'll do a little bit of the lower body as well. So it's sort of complete. Okay, so let's lie back, and I'm going to explain what I feel in my body and the posture of my hands. And it's just, kind of sort of open the mind to my experience today. And from that, I'll walk you through the different elements of the upper body, okay? And if you can't feel it, or nothing's happening, that's okay. Just leave an open mind, or if you only feel a little bit, just leave an open mind and realize that I've done this for a while, and but it's possible for anyone. Just, takes a little practice and a little time for the body to just kind of release the grip it has on everything. All right, let's lie down and we'll begin. Okay, make sure I'm loud enough. All right. So, adjust the volume so I'm not too loud. All right, so when I laid down, I felt a huge release because I'm upright for most of the day and I do a lot of moving around. So, so I sort of feel my body and sort of check in. And I feel a lot of racing energy. My body's buzzing from all the movement I do day after day. So my eyes are closed and I'm just feeling, putting my awareness and just feeling what my body is doing. It's coursing with energy. So I'm just present to it and I let it do what it wants to do. And earlier, and I sort of feel to do it now, I had put both hands, palms up above my head. Oof, I'm glad I did. That seemed to unlock something, and I felt a great release of energy. When my hands were by my side, facing my feet, side to side with the palms on the ground, the energy felt very locked in. When I placed them over my hand with palms up to the sky, just, comfortably over the head wherever they fall, sort of on either side of my head, but above, right? So it's always try to keep it symmetrical if you can. I felt the energy release out of my body. It couldn't quite hold itself in there. Oof. Felt like a hot density just lift up and out. And now I could start feeling my body better. The racing of energy slowed down dramatically. And my body feels less hot. I could actually now feel the coolness of the air, which I couldn't before. My body is cooling down, and the heat radiating from it is stopping. The abnormal release of all that energy was kind of heating me up. And the core of my body feels more smaller. I feel like I've suddenly gotten skinnier. That density felt like it was my whole body, and my body was thicker, and that felt like that's what I feel like, that's for what I am. And then suddenly when I released it, I realized, hold on, you're right, my body is skinnier than what I was feeling. And that difference was the density of the energy my body had trapped. Yes, you see? So I sort of put my awareness, sort of scan my body, put my awareness throughout the whole body, lightly, just see what I feel. So see what you feel in your body. Put yourself in whatever hand posture that you feel called to that might provide that sort of escape valve. It doesn't matter what side of your body, up, down, sideways, diagonal, that it shoots out of. The importance is that it's released. So just be relaxed, let go, release, and see where, if you find that posture where it's just sort of, it just can't hold itself in your body. Remember, it's artificial. It's not meant to be there. So it's locked in. So we're working with our posture and our hands, and it can change from day to day, where it's something engages or disengages, where the body just can't hold it and it leaves. So try that for a couple minutes. Breathe in, breathe out, release, let go. So with most yogas, we work with the breath, and even the inner breath. As we deepen in these techniques, we start working a lot with the inner breath. Put my hands back on my belly button, one on top of the other in our normal posture, as you can see on your screen. Because that's a good place to sort of do it. So if you put it flat on the ground with your palms and hands straight down, the energy doesn't flow very well. People feel that. There's something about the elbows stops the flow to the hands in a way. This doesn't flow well in the arms. At least for me, it's too much constriction in there. But if I move my hands and palms inwards, the angle also going up to the chest, but also the angle in the elbows. It's not quite a right angle. It's at a lesser, like, I don't know, 70, 75. I don't know. I can't quite look at it. But notice how the energy flows. It's sort of open for the flow. There's not, ironically, when it's bent, there's not as much constriction. Can you feel that? My palms and hands are actually tingling a little bit from the heavy flow that's in my body, which means it's getting it from my body. So that means there's a flow. And it goes up through the hands and out. Now, if it goes from the palms into the body at the belly button, that's actually not a bad thing. But I'm not discussing that today. That's way beyond this course. So it's important that it just radiates out from the hands. So I have my awareness in my body. And as I felt that release in my arms, I started feeling my spine. And as the energy was releasing through my upper body, through my arms, I felt energy starting to move in my lower spine. See, it's all connected. I just opened the river, and parts of it left rather quickly and drained right out without me really having to focus on a zone. And then I felt a density and a tightness and a vertebrae that desperately needs to be cracked a little bit, because it's just not quite, it's a little misaligned. So I wouldn't suggest you do that, but I've had a lot of work done on these things and I have a lot of practice. So I kind of know how to go about that. But those are things that sort of occur when the release of the energy happens. Things start to unlock. And where you thought it was normal and everything's fine, you realize, hold on, I need to stretch a little here. I need a little movement. It's a little seized up here. And when you're able to unlock and have the right realignment and movement, this is why massage is important at the beginning. You might realize that you need a physical therapist because there's parts that just are stuck. I've had physical therapy done on my spine, actually. I couldn't move my spine for decades because of my youth. And I thought that was everyone. I could even bend over to get my hands to my kneecaps. It was that bad. The knees, not even the ankles. And then she's like, that's not normal. You literally have one spine. Nothing's moving at all from the lower half. And so we started getting in the movement, and then the energy was able to move. So you uncover things when you start the work, and you begin to
realize, oh, I'm not so sure about this. Oh, this is pain. Oh, that's right. 15 years ago, I did an injury. Oh, really? It's still sort of there? Oh my. And you might try hot baths and rubs, and if it's not working, you see a doctor and you get it looked at. And then as you heal it, you realize because of the pain and the tension there, it was blocking the flow of energy. It's like a 10-car pileup on the interstate, right? It's just nothing moves that much. It's just stuck, and all the cars back up, right? Just backing up the cars. That's the energy sort of backing up. Now, there's always some energy moving through, but it's a dam. And so you start working and healing the pathways so things move. Yes? So when you release, even simply from the arms or whatever, the energy of the week or day, which might have pooled in the lower back or the upper back or in the waist or in the foot or wherever it might be, suddenly is able to be released. And as it's released, another part of the body might suddenly release. It becomes a cascade, or one after the other, of little pieces releasing, and you just allow it all to go. It's basically your freeway becoming unclogged, and all the little energy cars are able to move and circulate to wherever they need to go. That is really none of our concern. The body self-regulates, the energy moves, goes, whatever. We just want to invite circulation. We're just releasing and letting go. And we avail ourselves of all the modern help and whatever. Deep tissue massage is hugely important. I'm a big fan. Releasing the tension in muscles, releasing pain. And that allows a movement, and we feel lighter and we feel better. Yes, our bodies are our vehicle of our lives. Yes, I keep saying driving the car. It's been a while since I used that analogy, but right. So as we're moving from the Pinto into the Porsche, into the Ferrari, into the spaceship, the energy flows and gets cleared more and more. And we realize our Pinto was always the starship. It just needed a little work. And so as we do this, we are sort of bringing health and alignment back, which in turn could maybe cause us to live longer or release things that might have led to disease or an illness or whatever. It just helps our body to flow. When a river gets dammed up or doesn't flow properly, that's really not good for the river, and it's not good for the animals in the river. And it's certainly not good for everything further down the river, because it's not getting what it needs anymore. And that's all we're doing. Just we're working with our inner rivers. Yes? So let's get into the releasing of the upper body. So have your hands over your belly button. I have, what works best for me is the left hand first and the right hand on top. Elbows on the ground, wherever it feels comfortable. And if you have a larger stomach, it's fine on the sides. It just needs to be comfortable. So you put your awareness into your hands. Just lightly, just focus. What do you feel of your hands? It's not an analysis and be like, can I feel this finger? That's using your mind. It's like a passive radar. Those World War II films where they're listening, seeing what they see, what they hear. It's an open space, and see what sort of blip comes up. That's what we're doing. We're just looking in that area, which is our hands. So we have our sensors, our awareness directed to that area, but it's an open blank screen. We don't think of what we might feel or what we should feel. Nothing, just blank mind, and just see what you feel. Let's do that. I'm ready to keep breathing. So, what I feel. My fingers, which are long, feels very brittle. The bone feels brittle, feels achy. Wasn't aware of that before. Actually, I didn't even realize it. So I actually cracked my knuckles, which is not a good thing to do, but I find that it gives relief. So it feels a little better now. Yeah, the energy flows a little better. Kind of released that achy tension that was in the fingers, which actually was painful when I put my awareness to it, and I wasn't aware of it before. But believe me, my body is aware of that pain, even though I'm not consciously aware. And where there's pain or tension or achiness, the energy doesn't flow properly, even if we're not aware of it. So make any adjustments you need. And I'm putting my awareness back into my hands. I'm scanning my whole hands, both sides. Now we just imagine relaxation in the area of the hands. Just lightly say, release, let go, inviting any tension to leave. It's a mental thought. We're not taking our energy and pushing it out to the hands. Right? I take that as it's obvious to do, but I think, I don't know, it's been so long since before I did these practices. It's a little hard for me to remember what people who haven't done these practices are able or not able to do, because my reality is a little different now. But yes, you could push energy through your hands. If that's not something people are able to do, I really can't remember. That's not what you want to do. You want to invite energy to leave your hands. Pushing with these body exercises is aggressive, and that's not how we do it for these exercises. Now, there are more advanced exercises where you do push energy through your body. This is not one of them. So we just invite the opening up of the valves and the release. So we feel the hands and we let the energy go. So it's relaxation, open, release, and it's almost allowing it to radiate out in waves of energy, like heat off a hot road in the desert. You see the waves of heat energy on the road, and it's sort of coming up from the road, and it sort of has a shimmer, and it looks like a white wave. People who've driven in very hot places, you can see that. That's literally what we're doing with this body, meditating with the body. We're inviting it to release that, to release the waves of what we hold. So we put our awareness in our hands, feel what we feel, bitterness, tightness, pain, achiness, and we just invite it to release. So I've energetically had my energy in my hands open. Hold an open position. I don't know how to describe it. It's an open breath, an open hold. It's sort of, the energy is opened. The breath is neither going in or out of your lungs or your stomach. The energy, you stop and you do a little hold in between with your breath. And you hold that open, pregnant space. That's open energy. And as you do that, that energy spreads out through your body to your hands, and it creates that open space. And in that open space, energy really doesn't like that open space. And it just radiates out, and you just feel a release. It's an open technique. See, we work with, this is a little more advanced. So see if you can do that. You sort of exhale the breath, but no deep exhale. You just let out the normal air, little normal breath. And in that space between the exhale having left and where you would do an inhale, you leave the energy in that space. You leave the lungs and the breathing in sort of in neutral in that spot. And in that open spot, you could really invite energy to leave. You've created a neutral energetic environment, a slight energetic vacuum in the body, and that creates an opening for a deeper release. This is inner body yoga. It takes a while. If you're skeptical, just take my word for it. It's real. So you just let go a little bit, just a normal exhale, and at that where the oxygen, the air has left, and you're not pushing out that last 20% or whatever. It's just a normal exhale, and where you would normally inhale, you don't. You leave it there. That exhale happened, and you leave it in that open space. You don't hold the muscles in with the stomach or the lungs. It's just an open. It just stops. And you're able to leave it in that sort of stalled, neutral position, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 seconds, whatever. And if you invite the energy to release while you're in that posture, you could really feel it leave. That lack of movement and pressure and flow is really an opening. It's hard for the energy to stay in. Does that make sense? So why don't you try that? And this works for any body part. We'll just call it an open hold. Does that work? So let's try that. So feel your hands Feel what you're feeling, and then do that open hold and invite the energy out. Now you might feel it least in your foot, wherever, that's okay. You're not, if it goes somewhere else, your awareness, because that's where the releases happen, you let it happen there and you bring your awareness there. This is not about control. But once that has been resolved, you bring your awareness back to your hands, because that's the body part you're working on. Now, if another part suddenly takes your attention, then you work on that part. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm working on this and working on that. You kind of work where it shows up. And at some point, the sort of hot spots will relax. And then if you want to go deeper, you could systematically go from the hands to the shoulders to the elbows, whatever, and focus on individual body parts afterwards. But the first is sort of getting yourself to a steady state throughout the body. And then this is sort of going in deeper. So let's go in deeper with our hands. Try that for a couple minutes. Don't forget to breathe until you do the open hold. So first, you let go, you release, you relax. And then when you feel most of it's gone or you feel it's stuck, you might try that open hold and invite the energy to go and see what happens. It's subtle. It might take a while for you to kind of figure out what I'm trying to say. As things release and let go throughout your body, don't forget to breathe. It's to the exhale. It's not necessarily a string of open holds, but maybe one or two, and then things are moving and releasing. So you go back to your breathing and you invite that release. So I invited a release in my hand, and then I felt things flow from the elbow. And actually, it flowed from the outside in, the release. So I felt it go up to the shoulder, into my chest. It released in the lower spine. So I felt a tension that wasn't there. So I moved my lower spine to realign it. And when I did so, I felt energy in my foot, which I have an injury, is suddenly released and let go and flowed up from the foot through my body and out. So one release in working on the hand caused a whole series of release, which led energy moving and pain going away where there was an injury in the foot. Or there is an injury in the foot. So do you see how it's all connected? Now, the energy flows well in my body through many different practices I've done, but with you, you'll be able to do that as well. As you release and let go, things unlock. And then the highways in our body are clear, and a release in the hand can cause a release in the spine, which in turn releases the flow, which lowers the pressure going to the foot, and therefore that density of energy that's there is able to find its way out of the body. Energy in the foot doesn't necessarily always have to leave through the foot. It may work its way up the legs, up the spine, and out through the crown. It's a two-way flow street. Now, if everything's blocked in the upper body, it might very well leave through the foot because it's all blocked above. But as you do the work, everything starts to clear. And so as a highway can go to the south lane and a north lane, it's the same with your body. Now you could also put your awareness in every single finger, the best you can feel it, and work on those fingers and ask it to release. So all the fingertips, the best you can to feel what they are and invite them to release. And then work on the thumb and the palm or the middle of the hand or the wrist. I don't have time to walk through all of that, but you get the idea on how you can go about it. But for the whole hand, you could just invite that release for the hand as a group. And then the wrist, you can feel this openness. I feel joints. It's complicated, the joint. And you see what that feels like, this little achiness. So you invite that to release. And you have the forearms, you have the bones, the long bones that go from the hand to the elbow. And you put your awareness there and see how they feel like. And you invite that to release. So I'm going to go not as slow as I would like because I don't want each part to take a long time, to do all of this a long time. So I'll just walk you through the major parts and what to look like with your practice. So it's sort of, here it is, here's what is going on, and then, so you get a good layout, right? So you feel the elbows. They're on the ground, right? So you feel what they feel like. You'd use your breath to breathe into them. Mine are so dense, I really can't feel the joints or anything. It feels like it's one piece. So I take my nose and I pretend that I'm breathing in through that spot to try to bring in some energy through that density to help kind of break it up and to release so that tension and tightness and hardness begins to move and leave. And then I'll be able to feel better as to what it feels like. Right now, it's just the density makes it feel solid, and it's not. We know full well there's joints and moving pieces in an elbow. So you work with your breath in that way. So try it for a bit. We just imagine that our little nose is right at the joint, wherever you wish to place it, and it's just breathing in from that spot. So we're breathing in, and it's whatever that is filling our lungs, and then we're exhaling it out. Wherever our awareness is, so is our energy. Elbows feel much more relaxed. And by doing this practice, actually my whole body feels relaxed. I feel like I kind of want to go to sleep a little bit. But you're doing the practice, so this is really not the moment to go to sleep because you're in the middle of your practice. So that's where the discipline comes in. You said, okay, I feel like, but I'm doing a practice, so I'm going to go to the end and then I'll sleep. Now, if you just fall asleep by accident, that's okay. But try to stay with the practice when you're doing it. Elbows done. So now we have the upper bones from the elbow to the shoulder. So feel what they feel like. Now we have muscles too. So I'm feeling that I feel my biceps a little bit, maybe my triceps. So you could feel that there's tendons in there. It's starting to get a little more complicated. So you just feel what that is and you release any tension in the muscles and in the tendons. You can breathe in from whatever spot you like there and you just exhale it out. Very simple. In and out. And you relax on the out breath. Right, then we have the shoulder. Now you could focus on one side. Interestingly enough, I've been only focusing on one side for some reason. Or you focus on both sides. Now if you're only focusing on one side, then afterwards you should focus on the other side a little bit. And so feel the shoulder, it's big, it's dense, a lot of muscles.